Hey guys, welcome back to another week of what's for dinner. So I'm starting out by peeling and chopping some potatoes. We are making a potato soup. So usually I do about 5 or 6 pretty big potatoes, and I'll just throw these as is in my crock pot. I want to make the chunks big enough where they won't disintegrate in the crock pot, so just keep that in mind. Here I'm also starting out with 2 cups of some chicken broth. I just use the Knorr chicken bouillon. And I started out with 2 cups just so I don't get too much broth, but after it was all said and done, I ended up adding 4 cups. You just want the broth to barely cover your potatoes. And then we will pop a top on this and cook it for 4 to 5 hours on low or until your potatoes are fork tender. After about 6 hours, I went ahead and took the lid off, and I'm just going to stir these up just to make sure that everything is done, and then we will add just a little bit of butter. That's your call. I had some, so I used it. And then we are adding a tub of cream cheese. I had this whipped cream cheese in my fridge that I needed to get used up, so I just used that. But you just want to add the equivalent to whatever a block is. And then you'll just cook this until the cream cheese melts, and then you are good to serve your dinner. This is one of our favorites, and it's also super cheap, and it's easy to make if you have some potatoes that are about to go bad. Potato soup is always a favorite in our house. Here's what it looks like when it is all done. I just topped it with some pepper, and then we serve this with some cornbread on the side. This next meal is Southwest Queso Chicken Chili. I got this recipe from Mandy in the Making, so I'm just starting out with some chicken breast in the bottom of my crock pot. I'm adding some taco seasoning, and then we will add some drained beans. I decided to do kidney beans. You can add whatever beans that you want. Also some corn and some rotel. And we'll add some cream of chicken soup as well, but there's a lot of ingredients in this and it kind of sounds weird, and I was hesitant to try it, but it looks so good on Mandy's channel and I wanted to try it. So I'll leave her link down below so that you can go to the recipe, but I highly recommend trying this. This was really good. If you have littles, I would recommend draining your rotel. I did not, and it was pretty spicy, so my kids didn't really want to eat it, but this was definitely a hit in our house. Okay, so here's what it looked like when it was all done. This was actually the next day. I had this for lunch, and we just served it with some tortilla chips. This next meal is definitely one of my husband's favorites. It's my family's favorites. I'm making chicken and noodles. So I'm starting out with 2 cups of chicken broth, and again, using that chicken bouillon that I get at Walmart. It's a really big jar, and it's only about $4. So if you are, on a budget or whatever, I suggest getting that because chicken broth in the carton is pretty expensive. So anyway, I'm just starting out with a couple cups of that, and then I'm adding a can of cream of chicken soup, and then I'll stir that together, make sure it's combined, and then we will add our chicken and cook this on low for about 4 to 5 hours, or until the chicken is cooked all the way through. After about 4 to 5 hours, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the chicken to another bowl, and then we will shred that with a fork. You can use your hand mixer, but we prefer to have bigger chunks of chicken in the chicken and noodles. So that's why I do it with a fork. And I'm just stirring up everything in the crock pot just to make sure that it's well combined. And then I use these frozen egg noodles by Reams, and I'm just gonna throw those in. The broth that was left in the crock pot didn't quite cover the noodles, so I added just another cup of chicken broth, and it cooked up just fine. And then we will throw the chicken back in on top of the noodles, and this only has to cook for about 30 minutes. Just make sure that you taste your noodles, you know, about halfway through, and make sure they're not getting overdone, but about 30 minutes usually does the trick. Okay, so here's what it looks like when it is all done. We always just serve these with some dinner rolls. So tonight for dinner we are having Mexican pizzas. I'm gonna try and replicate the Taco Bell Mexican pizza. So I've got a pound of ground beef here. I went ahead and added about half of the taco seasoning packet, and I'm just gonna cook that in with the meat, and then I will add the other half whenever I drain the grease. And then back here, I have some refried beans with a little bit of enchilada sauce and some water to thin it out. So I'm just heating that through, and I'm gonna work on shredding the cheese for it. Okay, so my beans are heated through. I went ahead and added probably like half a cup of sour cream. I just think this gives it a really good flavor. So I'm just gonna stir this up and incorporate this, and then I will put the lid on it and just let it sit until I'm ready to use it. Okay, so I've decided to make cheesy fiesta potatoes from Taco Bell as well. So I've got 5 potatoes here. I'm going to chop them and then add them to this blue bowl here. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave the skins on just for time purposes, but you can peel them if you want. Okay, so I chopped up all my potatoes. The lighting's kind of bad over here, but I did not follow the recipe because I didn't have everything, and also I did way more than 5 pounds of potatoes. So I just seasoned with some seasoned salt, chili powder, cumin, and onion powder, I think. And I'm just gonna cook these at 350 for about 10 minutes, and then I'll shake them and then crank the temperature up to 400 until they're done to make sure they're crispy. But you can make your potatoes any way that you want. This is just how we do them, and this is how we like to do them in the air fryer. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this going for about 10 minutes here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and assemble the Mexican pizza. So I have 2 fajita-sized tortillas here, and we're going to lay down a thin layer of the refried beans. I didn't want to get too much beans because I didn't want it to overpower. So I'm just going to spread those around, and then we'll add some ground beef on top. And then I decided to put some sliced cheese. I had some in my fridge. I needed to get used up. but I just wanted to use it on top of the beef so that the top tortilla stuck to it really well. And this turned out really good. It wasn't very good for leftovers, but the same night it was really good. So on the top tortilla, I'm just gonna add some red enchilada sauce, and then we'll top it with some shredded cheese that I shredded from the block. But yeah, you definitely want to use the block cheese because it melts a lot better, in my opinion, you know, and it's cheaper too if you get the 8-ounce block. But anyway, yeah, we definitely like this, and sadly our Mexican pizza at Taco Bell is out of stock, and so I guess they're like trying to restock it or something. But this has definitely been one of my major pregnancy cravings. I think I had one every day for like 2 weeks at one point. So yeah, I was excited to be able to make them at home, and I just cooked these in the air fryer on 350 for about 6 minutes, and I just checked them about every 2 minutes to make sure that they weren't getting overdone. But I definitely love my air fryer in the summertime. Let me know down below what your favorite air fryer recipe is. I am definitely curious to know. So here's what everything looks like when it came out. We served the potatoes with sour cream and some queso, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.